Reggie, why don't we end off with you?
Okay, so following the whole discussion with Zoom, DocuSign is another big company that did extremely well during pandemic, right? So personally, I've used DocuSign, HelloSign, PDF Scan, PDF Sign, what have you, right? So all the e-signatory companies, I think they're doing a great job and great blessing to all of us, younger entrepreneurs trying to create something and refuse to sign papers and send notary. By the way, it's very, very expensive and very, very big hassle, right? So DocuSign is one of these successful companies that has rose out of the pandemic, and it's definitely providing a service for a lot of people that sees the whole like paper problem as an issue, right? So what DocuSign CEO came out to say that they have many, many years of growth ahead of them, and this follows the company's approximately $2 billion in annual revenue at this moment in time. And they believe that they only represent about 5% of penetration in the overall market. Like I said, they have competitor like HelloSign, which is under Dropbox, and they have PDF, which is also growing. It's a very big ecosystem following its PDF file structure, right? PDF, everybody use PDF, right? So that's pretty amazing, right? But they are not alone. So a lot of other big enterprise softwares, they are also trying to do e-signatory and do all that jazz, right? But DocuSign report quarterly profit that top expectation. Revenue jumped 50% from last year to reach 500 million, beating analyst consensus, which is why they predict that 2 billion revenue will be what it is for this year. So a lot of interesting stuff. And CEO said we got a lot more room to grow, but they didn't specifically say where are they going to grow towards. But notary is something that they have been talking about. Notary essentially is a legal service based on signatory, right? So I think that is a natural extension of what they are trying to do, and we'll see whether they can continue to beef up to the next level of business. Because as with any other software companies, at some point in time, high growth will plateau. All right, so as high growth plateau, 50% is already considered quite a low growth rate for DocuSign, right? So as high growth plateau, they have to find the next big thing to grow into. If not, valuations will get hit very hard. Share prices do come down if any signs of slower growth. So DocuSign is going into notary, but there are no new strategic ideas that's coming out of the DocuSign CEO at this moment in time. Any thoughts on DocuSign and e-signatory, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's firstly it's expected, right? For these sort of e-signature companies to really grow. And DocuSign is used by the big corporates mainly because of its timestamp, I believe, and its sort of back end. I don't know whether it's patented or not, but it's back end effectively software to say, yes, this person actually signed it on this date, so on and so forth, right? Whereas opposed to other sort of free signatory documents. So for example, when I sign my documents, I use Apple, right? So Apple has the preview, the software preview, and you just go on it and you literally just sign using a mouse pad or on your iPhone. And for me, that does the same thing. But obviously for corporates, you need that one extra layer. The one extra layer of saying, yes, this person actually signed it, so on and so forth. So moving towards notary or notarizing a document is a big step. That's moving towards a space in which is very, very enclosed, right? The lawyer space, the notary public space. So I don't know whether they'll be able to crack that because it's very tightly knit. But if they are, I think that's a great next step.
I think they would, honestly. Notary is such a hassle, so difficult, so complicated. Okay, not as Yes, it's unnecessarily complicated and unnecessarily expensive, right? Why do I need a lawyer to do that, right? So if
you don't trust me, is it?
I'm like, why do I need a lawyer, right? Like, why do I need a lawyer to sign property contracts? Also very stupid. I pay 5,000 to sign the options contract to purchase a property, right? And all that kind of jazz, right? So I think you can potentially see DocuSign going into some of these spaces, right? Which is very high margins, especially when they are fully tech, right? And if they can create a system that it's reliable or certified reliable and be comfortably adopted by some of the legal bodies out there, then hey, this is a whole new business field that DocuSign is going into. So yeah, shout out to DocuSign for notary.
I feel like, I mean, just going back to one of our conversations earlier, like this is one of those like challenges that blockchain can really just fix, right? Like you don't need like we're all talking about, like you don't need a lawyer, you don't need to pay a lawyer $5,000 to give their stamp of approval, right? This is something that can be very easily like verifiable across some sort of blockchain system, right? And that to me is like, yeah, I mean, I think that to me is like the biggest challenge that these guys will, like anyone in the space will eventually face, is like, how are you going to play against or deal when it comes to like when blockchain technology really takes over the space, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
fully agree. Fully agree. Yeah. So it's not about cryptocurrency, it's just about blockchain. So there's a world of difference here. But yeah, I never thought of it that way. But yeah, good point, right? Eventually blockchain may even render DocuSign useless, right? Or DocuSign will
Absolutely.
just be the UI in front, and they will have to use a blockchain technology at the back to even further streamline themselves, right? So that is totally possible. Interesting viewpoint. Cool.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I think the other point that we need to bring up is when this will effectively occur, right? So in Notary Public, for example, being able to notarize a document could be in a year or two if they're able to crack into that environment and all of that. I don't see it, again, sort of blockchain happening for the mainstream, which is where DocuSign wants to operate in 2 years. Maybe 5, maybe 3, if you're very lucky, 3. But I see it a lot longer than that in order for it to become mainstream. So transitional, this or that. If you're investing in the next, 6 months, 6 months to the next 2 to 3 years, could be something that you want to take into account. But I think it's a very good point that the long-term strategy, in terms of everything, could very well be this blockchain technology.
Yeah, so shout out to Dan Springer, the CEO. Maybe you should just announce that, oh, we're going into blockchain, and then,
Maybe
share
they already
prices. Yeah, exactly, right? Then share prices will fly another 20%, right? Just on the basic announcement, oh, we're doing blockchain, right? So in the future, we're gonna be more optimized than everyone else, right? So shout out to you,
Yes.
and let's see if that happens. Okay, so if any one of you have any questions regarding any of the topics that we discussed, please drop in the comment section. Nice.